My name is Jody Robinson, and I'm one of the admissions officers at the University of Pennsylvania. And I have the real privilege of working with students from Central and South America and also the Philadelphia suburbs, which is really exciting. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Jonathan, to introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Jody. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jonathan Sanchez. I use he, him, and his pronouns, and I'm the territory manager for both Southern California and Mexico.
Fantastic. Our colleague Haley Burrows is also joining us, and Haley is an admissions officer, and she is working with the Caribbean and Canada, and also with students from the New England area in Connecticut plus. So a little bit of technical difficulties. We got some new laptops in our office, so I want to introduce you all to Haley. So as we begin tonight, we want to take a minute to do a land acknowledgement because Penn occupies the traditional homelands of the Lenni Lenape people. Penn acknowledges this fact and expresses gratitude to the indigenous people, both past and present, for the opportunity to live and learn through Lenni Lenape Hoking land of the Lenape. So with that, I want to welcome you to this incredible student panel and waste no time but to turn it over to our students. The format for tonight will be that we'll have the opportunity to hear a little bit from them in some questions that they're prepared to answer for you in anticipation of the questions that you've presented, and also as you think about what Penn might be like and as you navigate the process. If it would be helpful to have closed caption. You can find that on the lower right screen, and you can see the transcription there if you click on it. This session is going to be recorded because we're really excited to share it with students who perhaps had another function or the time zone was different and would like to learn a little bit from our students who are coming up to us today from the University of Pennsylvania, from Mexico, Central and South America, and the Caribbean. We would encourage you to use the question and answer function. The chat will just be for panelists, so you won't have access to that, but to turn questions in as we have a couple students, and also Haley and Jonathan will be answering questions as the panelists proceed. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our student moderator, Uri, and the panel will begin. So welcome, everyone.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. We'll start off by having our panelists introduce themselves. So panelists, please, I'll call on your name and please share your first and last name, your class year, your undergraduate major in your undergraduate school, as well as your home city and country and your international background. So let's start this off with Tatiana.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tatiana Boyat. I'm currently a junior in Wharton studying finance and operations with a minor in consumer psychology. I am actually originally from El Salvador, but I grew up in Costa Rica, and I'm very happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you. Guy?
Hey, everyone. My name is Guilherme, and Guy for short. I am a senior in the College of Arts and Sciences, studying philosophy, politics, and economics, and minoring in consumer psychology at the Wharton School. I am originally from Curitiba, Brazil, and super excited to be with you guys tonight.
Thank you. Luke.
Hi, everyone. Luke Gooding. I am a sophomore studying in the College of Arts and Sciences. I am also studying PPE, which is politics, philosophy, and economics. And I am from Trinidad and Tobago.
Majo.
Hey everyone, I'm Maria Jose Rodriguez Velasquez, or Majo for short. I am a junior studying in the college, studying international relations, and maybe minoring in German, but who knows. I'm from Mexico, from Tampico, a city near the beach. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you. And Sebastian.
Hi, everyone. It's very good to be here with you. My name is Sebastian. I'm in the School of Engineering and Applied Science. I study computer science. I'm originally from Bogota, Colombia. And yeah, I'm very excited to be with all of you here.
Thank you, everyone. And finally, my name is Uriel. I'm originally from Guatemala City. I pursued a joint bachelor's and master's in systems engineering here at Penn, which I highly recommend. And yeah, with that said, we can start off with our questions. So to kick it off, we're gonna ask our panelists what their favorite academic experience at Penn has been so far. I will also write the question in the chat so you guys can follow along. And why don't we start off with Guy? Can you share with us what your favorite academic experience has been at Penn?
Of course, happy to. So, I mean, there are so many, but starting to think about my favorite experiences at Penn academically, first of all, one of the things that I love the most about Penn is the ability that I have to like take classes in many different departments, regardless of what my home school is. Finishing my 4 years now as a senior, looking back, I've taken classes in engineering, I've taken classes in history of art, I've taken classes, right now I'm in a class called The Emergence of Modern Science, where I'm literally studying the history of science, which is something I never thought I was going to study as like a humanities PPE major here at Penn. And that's just super fulfilling. But if I had to say my single best academic experience was, I always wanted to study like North American and US history. Growing up in Brazil, I never had exposure to that. And my second year at Penn, I got to take a class with Professor Eisenhower about the US presidency. And that was really transformative to me. I got to write a paper about Ronald Reagan and travel to do research. And so being welcomed as an international student that had no experience in that field and be able to have an academic opportunity like that was very unique. So I'm very grateful for that here at Penn.
I can go next. Oh, sorry. Oh no, go.
Okay, I'll go. Sorry about that. My favorite academic experience, yeah, as Guy said, there's been many amazing opportunities and experiences here at Penn. However, I would say that my favorite experience is one I'm having right now. As a computer science major, they give you the opportunity in your senior year to basically work on a project or a thesis throughout your whole year called senior design. Basically, you are teamed up and basically develop any type of project you want. I am personally developing a social media that focuses on generating events and gathering ups between your social network. And the cool thing about this opportunity is that you have a lot of resources that the university provides for you. And after developing this project through the whole year, at the end on our final presentation, which is going to be in May, they invite a series of venture capitalists where you can present your idea, present your design. And at the end, normally many of these venture capitalists actually invest on your design, on your project, and many startups have arisen from that. So it's been an amazing opportunity. It's super inspiring and yeah, super excited to be able to have that opportunity.
Majo, do you want to go?
Yes, sorry, I was so excited to answer this question. Okay, so mine is kind of really similar to Guy's. So for me, kind of like my favorite academic experience was a class that kind of opened like a really like random interest I discovered I had. It was like a freshman seminar I had with a professor called Mary Gottschalk, and she's actually in the movie, in the documentary in Netflix called 13th, and she's like an author. And it was just such an interesting class. Like it was about race, class, and punishment in the US. I had no idea, like I learned so much about it, and it was really interesting because it wasn't just a class, it was like a really nice discussion. And she took us everywhere. We went to like see a play. We met like people who were like wrongly incarcerated and like were now fighting for like the rights of people like them. So it was really crazy for me like to have that experience as a freshman, and it just kind of made me realize how many awesome opportunities I was going to have in Penn.
Nice. Okay, I guess I'll go next. And there was also a question in the chat regarding my transition from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago. I'll read the question out loud so everyone knows what I'm talking about. So the question was, hey, Luke, I am a Caribbean American with parents from Trinidad and Tobago, but I'm not considered first generation. How does it feel to be a Caribbean at a prestigious school with a diverse student community? So I guess I'll try to merge those two questions into a single answer. First, I'll address like my favorite academic experience. When I came to Penn from the Caribbean, from Trinidad and Tobago in particular, there's this ideology in the Caribbean that you have to like know what you want to do in life very early on. So when I was in my senior year at high school or secondary school, as we would call it, I studied 3 subjects: physics, chemistry, and pure mathematics. And now I'm studying politics, philosophy, and economics. So there's this opportunity when I came to Penn to really hone in on what my interests were. And I found that out through the course that I'm going to tell you about, the Integrated Studies program, which I got to do in my freshman year. By the word integrated, you can tell that there's some sort of mixing and matching of disciplines. And the goal of this program was to merge two disciplines together. So in the first semester, I did history and classical studies. The second semester, I had the opportunity to do religion and positive psychology side by side. And that just blew my mind. You know, I've never been exposed to things like that. And the beautiful thing about it was that, yes, there were a lot of readings to do every semester, every week, because it's with 2 credits, because it's 2 courses side by side. But I made my closest friends there because most of the class time was spent talking to each other about these type of things that interested us. A lot of people from that course went on to live together on campus this semester. Unfortunately, I did not make those arrangements, but I never passed those people from that course straight. And it's like, I would say around 70 students in that class. And I know every single person by their name. So yeah, those are my 2 answers in a nutshell.
Well, I can go next. As many people have said, like coming into Penn and studying business, I really thought that most of my experience was going to be business related. But what I was pleasantly surprised with, and which has been one of my favorite things about Penn, was the like flexibility and optionality that I found at Penn with an interdisciplinary education. So not only could I enjoy like my business classes with amazing professors, but also I could explore like my intellectual curiosities through many fields. For example, I've always been curious about coding, but I was always scared since it's a new language and it seems very intimidating. I never like took the leap and tried it. But when I came to Penn, I had this opportunity and I decided to do it through a class called Computational Data Exploration. And this has been one of my favorite classes at Penn so far. Not only did I learn more about Python and had an amazing professor with a lot of and a huge support system in the class, but also I opened like this new field of studies that I was really interested in that I didn't know before. And that has encouraged me to continue like exploring new fields. I've done classes in psychology, history, more in like computer science. And I think that's just like the beauty of Penn. You come in to study something and then you realize you have a lot of passions and you can pursue them. So that has been like one of my favorite things about my academic experience so far.
Thank you, everyone. I'll close it off by sharing my favorite academic experience. I took a class on autonomous robots, and throughout the course of the semester, we taught a car how to drive itself. So it was really cool at the end of the semester to see the car driving around my apartment, being chased by my dog, and just seeing how much I had learned in terms of control theory. So yeah, with that, we'll move on to our second question. I'll ask Tati to answer first, and we want to ask you, what was it like to transition to Penn as an international student?
Great, thank you, Uri, for that great question. And I think that personally, I had a little more knowledge than the average international student coming to Penn, just because I have 2 older sisters that also came. So I already came like with this knowledge and love for Penn that many of the people who come to Penn find when they're here. But it is truly different transitioning from being in high school and living back home to very quickly living alone and having a lot of responsibilities and being in college. However, I do feel like Penn gives you a lot of the support that you need. For example, once I came in, I did a pre-orientation program called STEP, where I met a lot of mentors and friends, which I had like, they're people that I wouldn't have met before. And they also gave me like a support system I needed very early on. Also, I think that the fact that we all live in dorms at the beginning allows you to be in a community of people that are going through the same thing as you are. So even though we all get homesick, we all get sad sometimes, even now as a junior. You never feel like you're alone going through it, and you always feel like you have like a second family at Penn, which I have to give a shout out to Word to Latino. That is truly where I found my family here at Penn very early on. I got into the club and people like were super welcoming. I found some of my best friends. The upperclassmen taught me everything I know in terms of living at Penn, Philly, career, it's like anything. So I think that even though the transition is hard, you have like some amazing things to learn and like a lot of support since the beginning.
Yeah, I think I'll jump in now. And what I'll say is that my feeling with transitioning into Penn is that the transition to Penn kind of happens the day you get in already starting, because Penn has such a strong community, even like when you're not on campus. Like I remember when I got in, I was added to all these like chats, Facebook groups, Instagram pages, and I just felt so much like energy from everyone that was coming. Like we're all in this together. We're gonna build this community. We're gonna start our college years off well. And that just was very energizing to me, and so made me arrive on campus on a really good note. As Tachi said, like living in the quad was something that was also very like transformational and like very positive for me when I was transitioning into college, because the quad is kind of like this beautiful place where like everyone's a freshman and nobody is older and knows everything, and you're kind of like all living together. And from the little interactions when you go to the library in the quad or you go to the dining hall in the quad on a late night of studying, everyone there is also a freshman. So the collective experience of being a freshman at Penn is very like housewarming. It's very like close. So like that's something that I really like. And then apart from that, finding community through clubs that invite you very early on. Like the club search at Penn is not something that you have to go after. It's usually something that happens to you. Like I remember the first week I was here, I already got a text from an older friend who was also from Brazil and was like, hey, come to this person's house. We're making like Brazilian food and having a dinner. So these communities really try to like make sure that your experience transitioning into college is very positive. And it all happens very organically. And once you see it, it's all kind of already come together and you're in it for the long run. So it was very good for me.
All right, I can jump in here as well. So my transition was a bit different. One, my entire freshman year I spent in home in Trinidad. So I did not get that freshman experience, unfortunately. This is also my first time on campus this semester. And this is only the second time I've ever left Trinidad and Tobago. So a lot of new things. But I'd say some of the main things that helped me, get used to things is one, I did not get the orientation that freshmen would get, but there was a second year orientation. And it was nice to see some familiar faces, even if I only knew those faces from Zoom. And also because the Trinidadian community here is very small. For me, I had to sort of create my own home here. I am a very big fan of my culture back home. So I would invite friends over, I would play soca music for them, some dance hall, and I would cook. I've done that twice since I've been on campus, and it's really helped. Some other things is that Penn itself is designed to be a very great place, I think, for Caribbean people, because it's small in terms of it feels like a homely place. You have your campus, it feels kind of like a bubble, but you can very easily step out into a more urban scene. So I think the way Penn is designed really feels like back home, at least for me. So yeah.
Great, thank you, everyone. Well, we'll move on to our next question. So, Majo, how has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted your Penn experience?
Thank you for the question, Uri. So for me, of course, like the COVID pandemic affected like the social experience in the way that I couldn't be like walking on Locust, like saying hi to people. But I will say that at least for me, it opened like a lot of opportunities. Like it allowed me to explore things that I would have not explored had like my Penn like year was in person, I feel, because I had so much free time, So for example, I joined like a theater group, which was like something I'd never done before. It was really fun. I joined a bunch of like the clubs that are now some of my favorites. So like College Cognoscenti, which is like ambassadors groups. I joined like an a cappella group. I joined like some netter after school programs. And I feel like if I had been in person, like maybe I wouldn't have like found like these new opportunities. And like I think also kind of like the fact that Penn has so many opportunities and so many programs to apply to and so many things, like at COVID, I had like the actual time to like go through them and like apply to some. So I even applied to like GRIP, which is like an opportunity to do like research and internships abroad. And like I got it in. And I felt like I wouldn't have done that if it was in person. I wouldn't have had the time or maybe like the motivation to do it.
I can go next. So COVID had two big impacts in my experience at Penn, an academic and a social impact. In the academic side, well, I'm sure many of you have the same experience. We have the transition into online studying, online work, online resources. And well, at the beginning, that was like hard to get used to. Like soon, Penn had so many online resources that soon I got used on learning online, using my online resources. And now that we're back in person, I feel that Penn has used the best of both worlds. So we're back in person, still running classes, doing crucial things that are done in person. However, we realize that there's many things that are simply efficient to do online. So I really appreciate that best of both worlds I have now in my academic experience of being able to do some things online in my house or do some things in person that actually need that interaction. In the social aspect, a bit like Majo, I had a lot of time. We were given the option to either stay home studying online, but many people did come back to Philadelphia. And coming to Philadelphia, I wasn't able to do the things I was used to do, the activities I was used to do when in regular life. So this forced me to kind of step out of my comfort zone, do different stuff I've never done before. And it actually opened my opportunity to meet many new people. And that's something I want to highlight of Penn. Penn is amazing, I feel, for me as a Latino, because I have the opportunity to have my Latino culture. There's many groups and organizations, and there's a massive Latino community, which I'm very happy is here to support me and for me to feel super identified in. But at the same time, you're exposed to a massive international and American community where you get to meet people from all around the world, with different interests, different backgrounds, get to inspire you a lot and make your whole university experience much more interesting. So yeah, in this pandemic situation, I was able to meet many new people because many of my friends stayed back home. Other of my friends just couldn't come. And then I met new people. And so yeah, it was two big impacts, both in my social and academic life. But I think both of them were pretty positive.
Totally agree, Tatan. I can also talk about this now. I think that COVID was an adjustment for everyone, especially at the beginning. It was very hard for professors and students since it was, of course, very abrupt and we were all getting used to online classes and what was the best way to handle things, whether to stay home or come to Philly. But I think that once a little time passed and everyone like settled down, Penn really did the best they could, and they gave us all the resources necessary to succeed even with online classes. Even if I had wished that I was in a classroom, like meeting my professors and with my classmates, I still felt that like the community and the teamwork that you would feel in a class in person, you still felt online with through breakout rooms, team projects. I was still meeting a lot of people, even if we were not in the same place, which was really incredible. And that is like the academic side. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about the social side, where it was very different than what I experienced in my first 3 quarters of freshman year. Being back in Philly, but not having campus open really forced you to look for new things to do. So I got to know like a lot of Philly, like the outskirts of Philly. I started hiking, which I did not know there were hiking places close to downtown Philadelphia, but there are. So just like being able to spend more quality time with my friends, like my close friends that became like my family since we spent a lot of time indoors together. And I also branched out and met a lot of people that I would have never met before. So even if it was a different experience, and I'm very happy to be in person again and see everyone down Locust and be able to go to my classes and meet my professors, I feel like COVID like taught me a lot, and it really made me like learn things about myself and about where I'm living and about my friends that I wouldn't have known before. So yeah, I think it was good overall.
Fully agree with everything being said, and it's great to have campus open again. Well, with that, we'll move on to our next question. So starting with Luke, can the panelists share what activities you are involved in at Penn and how have those activities enriched your college experience?
All right, I was very excited to answer this question, particularly because when I saw the question, my show was coming up. If someone had asked me last year what I think I'd be involved in at Penn, it would never be dancing. And this semester, I joined a Latin dance group on the Latina, and it was honestly one of the best experiences I've had in a long time. First of all, I've never danced before, but that didn't, stop me from joining, which is one thing I really want to highlight for everyone. That first 2 weeks of school, you're going to see Locust Walk, which is like the central street on campus, filled with people at the front booths advertising for their clubs. And it's so amazing to just walk around and hear people speak about their passions and whatnot. And I was the president would always say she roped me into the Under Latina group. And honestly, I'm a real big fan of new experiences, and this was one of them. Not only was it a new form of dance, but I was being exposed to a new culture as well. And I really think that it's going to be a massive part of my identity at Penn moving forward. Just some other things that I'm involved in. I'm involved in 2 scholar programs, Penn World Scholars, and as I mentioned, the ISP program, that's the Integrated Studies program, which is under Ben Franklin Scholars program. Those 2 communities, we do activities and stuff together, and they're very, very fulfilling because there are a lot of people who have similar mindsets, similar ideologies, and also offer very new and interesting perspectives, which I am fascinated with.
Awesome. I'll jump in. So yeah, as Luke made the great point of like activities at Penn are just something so exciting because of the diversity of availability of opportunities that are there. When you're walking down your first like club fair at Penn, it's definitely overwhelming in the most beautiful way possible. I'd say that for me, there are like my activities at Penn really reflect very different parts of my personality. So I think the largest one that has been the most like present in my journey so far was for the year of 2020 through COVID, I had the honor of being president of War in Latino. Tachi mentioned War in Latino, and from her enthusiasm, you guys have probably already picked up how special this club is to us. War in Latino is like the home of the most of the Latino community at Penn. It's a club where social, career opportunities, philanthropic opportunities all come together, and there are just so many different opportunities for us to build our community and to do things together that we wouldn't otherwise be doing. So doing that was very important for me at Penn. Something else that I'm involved in, I am also a student fellow at Perry World House. This is a very cool opportunity at Penn. For those who don't know, Perry World House is a political think tank on campus. So essentially it's an organization that does research and funds research on globalization, international relations, public policy. And essentially this program that I'm a part of essentially selects 30 undergraduates every year to be part of the policy process that this institute creates. So we get to meet with speakers from all over the world, literally presidents of countries we've met with before in groups of like 30 people and the president of a country, which is just amazing. And that has been really cool for me so far. And finally, I'm also very involved with research on campus. So I've been doing research in the War and Political Risk Lab for the past 3 years. And what is so cool about this opportunity for me as a college student is that I came here, as I said, to study humanities in the College of Arts and Sciences, and yet I'm doing research in like the best business school in the world in a topic that relates to management. So it's super cool that these opportunities are available to us regardless of our school or our background or where we came from. And yeah, that's a little bit of my extracurricular background as a student here at Penn.
Awesome. I feel like Luke and Guy kind of like said everything I wanted to say, honestly, about like clubs. But I guess one really cool thing I want to point out is that what a lot of the activities I'm involved in are like cultural clubs. So like I'm in Mexican Penn, but I'm also in the Penn German Society. I'm the president of that, which is really random. But I think that's something that's really cool about the activities at Penn is a lot of them are like made by students. So like a lot of the clubs you see, like they're like Locust is full of like tables because every year like more people come out with more clubs, you know. So I feel like that's something that's really cool about like activities here at Penn. Like if there's something that you feel like is missing at the Penn community, you can bring it in. And it's really cool how like people like outside Penn, like when you reach out to them, for example, like when Mexa Penn, like we reach out to like presidents or to I don't know, like important figures in Mexico, and they usually like are really eager to like talk to us. So I think that's really awesome too. But yeah, other than that, all of the everything that Guy and Luke said. reflect very well on my experience too.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Those sound like amazing clubs and activities to be a part of. Moving on, starting with Sebastian, can you please share with us something you wish you had known about Penn before you came here?
Yeah, of course. Something amazing about Penn is the opportunities you get to go out in the world after graduating and finding amazing jobs. I feel that in Penn and in many universities across the US, there's this conception where there's three big areas you should try to join. It's either big tech or investment banking or consulting. And yeah, those are great alternatives and great options. However, when I entered university, I had that mentality, but arriving to Penn, I realized that there's so many other opportunities. Penn Career Services and Penn Career Fairs gave me the opportunity to explore many other career paths that interest me personally much more than the classical paths. So yeah, that's something I recommend any person either coming to Penn or any other university. Keep in mind that the opportunities out there are amazing, they're crazy. Every industry is growing, different things are going on in the real world. So keep in mind that when you're looking for a job, looking what you want to do with your life, there's amazing opportunities and you should use the resources that campus gives to you to be able to explore that so you can find a place where you belong.
I'll add on to this as well. Something I wish I had known before coming to Penn is that professors and UPenn faculty are extremely approachable. You might be intimidated in the beginning being in a 300-person class and like thinking that you'll never be able to talk to the professor, but literally any professor will go out to lunch with you if you ask them to. And they usually have a lot of advice and they're extremely helpful. I know a bunch of students who have started independent research projects with professors. Some of them have even gotten recommendation letters. This is definitely a research that you want to take advantage of because there's a lot of learning to do in that specific area. And yeah, do any other panelists want to add anything? Great, so we'll move on to our next question. Starting with Tati, what campus resources have you found most helpful as an international student?
Okay, when I got this question, I was happy to talk about it because I feel like we talk about a lot about like classes and the social aspect of Penn, but it's also important to highlight what Penn gives you to support you to have this balance between work and your life and just succeeding once you do your transition into Penn. And I wanted to talk about three things in particular. First, the advisory system at Penn. I have been very lucky to have a very good advisor who I have a very good relationship with since freshman year. And this has been key for me because I just came in very interested in a lot of fields, a lot of classes, just everything. And he really was the one who helped me narrow down and find out what I really wanted and has allowed me to like really make the best out of my Penn experience, because I know that 4 years seems like a lot, but with the amount of classes at Penn, you really want to make sure you take the best classes each semester. So just having this advice from my advisor has really been like crucial for me and for my like academic path so far. Then talking about career services, as you guys may know or not, Tatan was talking a little bit about it. Once you come into Penn, you also you get into this professional path, and it's a little hard to know at the beginning like deadlines, what companies you should apply for, what you like, and just all the fairs and the resources that career services gives you allows you to like really find what you're really good at and what you really like early on, and gives you the support even if you feel a little lost like I did at the beginning. And finally, there's always resources like the wine guidance center where you can get like tutoring for any class that you feel like you're struggling with. This is especially good as a freshman because like high school classes and Penn classes are very different. So it's easy to feel lost, but there's always like the amazing tutors in the wine garden center ready to help you out with anything. So really Penn gives you all the resources you need.
I'll hop in here. Yeah, I think Tati touched on many of the important points I want to talk about. I also wanted to mention a bit of the mental health support that Penn has as well. As Tati mentioned, Penn is a pretty strongly academic and social place. And sometimes things can be very stressful, especially after you graduate from high school. You're alone, living a new life. Everything can be a bit stressful. Fortunately, Penn has many mental health resources, which at the beginning people might be hesitant to use, but after you start using, you can realize how amazing these are for your lifestyle and basically for everything. So that's something I really want to highlight about Penn that I really appreciate. And apart from that, I feel that Tachi touched on the main points.
Great. And for our final question, starting with Guy, what has been your favorite part of your Penn experience?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit nostalgic to think about an answer to this question as a senior now, as I reflect about my past 4 years at Penn. I would say there are two things that are my favorite parts about Penn. First of all, is that Penn kind of taught me what I love and who I am in a way that I hadn't found before. I think what I mean by that is that when you come to a university as prestigious as Penn, you do everything you do here, you do very meaningfully and very deeply, in the sense that if you take a class in art history, for example, as I gave an example before, something I never taken before, it's not a joke. It's a real class from a well-known world department that is very difficult and challenging and pushes you to think and learn and read a lot. And so when you do all these things and you explore these things and you do them very deeply, you realize what you love and what you want to dedicate your time to. So being able to do things not just in the surface, but actually dive my mind into them has taught me what I love and what makes me happy, both through my academic time at Penn, but also through the jobs I took over the summer. And I'm graduating, I feel, with like a sense of fulfillment that Penn gave me this, that I'm ready to do what I love and build a good career out of it. And the second thing that is my favorite part about Penn, and I'm sure everyone's gonna like give this answer to a certain extent, is the people. I met my best friends here. I met people that I know are gonna be so present in my life forever. And people that I had never been able to connect to the way I did when I got here. Growing up in a small city in Brazil, I had a lot of connections with a lot of my friends, of course, that I knew since I was born. But when you meet people that are literally on the same like intellectual and ambition wavelength as you, that love the same things, and that decided and made a conscientious decision to come to this one place for the same reasons many times, it brings you together in a way that many times you hadn't been able to experience relationships before. So I'm so grateful for our admissions team here for having let in all these amazing people, because it's the people that I know I'm going to carry forward with me for the rest of my life. So those would be my two favorite things about Penn.
That was such a pretty answer, Guy. I really liked it. I felt like you captured it all. I feel like the only thing I have to add is that, of course, I was also going to say that my favorite part of Penn is the people. And especially, I feel like there's a really nice culture of cooperation here at Penn. Like if there was ever like an opportunity I was interested in and I know an upperclassman did, I could like with all confidence in the world go ask them and they would like give me everything they used to like prepare for it and like tell me all of the tips. Like I feel that that's one thing that I really loved about Penn, and like it kind of like surprised me in a way, since you know like everyone here is like super smart and like probably we're really competitive in high school. But yeah, I think like that's awesome. And I guess also the fact that like everyone's always like, I don't know, like you're just surrounded by people who would make you want to be better. Like everyone's like having a really cool project or has a really cool internship or like started a new club or like started a new like charity or whatever. And I don't know, like being surrounded by that type of people really makes you like a better person, I feel.
Those are beautiful answers. I'm getting nostalgic as well. But with that said, I think we're done with the questions we have planned. We can pass it back to Jody and we can start with some Q&A from the audience.
That sounds great. Thank you all. Oh my goodness, it was so wonderful to hear from each of you. And there were some significant follow-ups as you all began to dive into your own unique individual experience. So I wanted to launch off. Sebastian shared as an engineer, you have a senior design project and you're doing unique research, you know, forming new knowledge. And Uri, you also did a senior design project, and that's a part of your graduation. But did any of you do other research that you want to share with our audience or ask questions about, you know, what research opportunities there are And how do you get involved in that on campus? Guy, go ahead.
Okay. I have a quick comment about research. I think the beauty of research at Penn is that it allows you to like study things and gain knowledge and create knowledge, as you said, Jody, in fields that perhaps are not like as like established in academia yet. So for example, one thing that I was very passionate about is this past summer, I spent my summer investing in startups, like working for a venture capital fund, finding new startups to invest in Latin America. And then I came back to Penn and I went to take a class in this. I was like, I love doing this. I want to take a class. There's no class about venture capital in Latin America at Penn. So what I did is I found a professor that teaches about entrepreneurship, innovation, the impacts of technology. And I started my own research, and now I'm working with her essentially to write about this topic and create knowledge in this. So essentially I was able to create a class through my research, which is something that's been very meaningful to align with these like new, very innovative and modern passions that just come up once in a while when you're in college.
Did any of the other panelists want to expand on or even research that they did with a class? Go ahead.
So for me, like I know I wasn't involved in it, but like I know Curve is a really a big thing. I don't know if anyone of you have done. It's basically just like the Center of Undergraduate Research here at Penn, and you can get involved with it. They have like a really cool fair that's similar to like the club fair, and you can just go and reach out to like kind of with the professors or like the opportunities available and start research. And usually people that sign with them like are there for their whole year. But my experience with research was through GRIP, which is the Global Research and Internship Program, I think. I forget. But it was really awesome. I did basically research on Sino-Israeli relations. And it was in an NGO based in Shanghai in the summer. And I actually got like funding for Penn to, since I couldn't go to China, I ended up going to Germany. So I was like doing research in Germany about China, which I thought was really interesting. And that's just one of the opportunities. And what's cool about this one specifically was that you have to do it abroad somewhere else. So it was a really cool experience and like allowed me to see if research was what I wanted to do later in life.
Thank you so much. And it actually connects the dots nicely. I mean, you are all studying abroad now at the University of Pennsylvania, you know, coming from Colombia and Brazil and Costa Rica and Guatemala and Trinidad and Mexico. And you, Majo, you have studied abroad. And can you speak a little bit about the experiences and potentials? We know that much was planned and changed because of COVID. But could you share, any of you share your experiences or your plans related to study abroad?
So I had a very hectic study abroad experience. I was supposed to go to Australia, then the program got canceled. Then I was going to Hong Kong, and then the protests began, so I wasn't able to go to Hong Kong. And then I finally got to London for my study abroad program and had to finish early because of COVID. But studying abroad is one of the greatest experiences you can have as a university student. You get to travel everywhere, you get to meet new people. I went to London, all of my other roommates went to Singapore, went to France, a few of my friends went to Spain as well, so we were all meeting each other all over the world. Definitely something I recommend doing.
Anyone else before we move on to the next question? Yeah, Majo?
It's super quick. So I wanted to study abroad in Germany, and at the end it didn't work out. But I will like kind of like just talking about some other opportunities abroad that I think like maybe people in the audience are interested about. Penn has really cool like summer opportunities. So for example, like you could apply to go to like the Cannes Film Festival, or you could apply to do like a hiking trip in the Alps. So if people like in the audience like maybe don't want to like go for a semester abroad, even though I agree with Uri that it's like an amazing opportunity that Penn definitely like helps you a lot to do. You can also do like summer opportunities or like semester programs or like internships abroad too.
There's another question. Thank you so much, Majo. That's really helpful. I should add that Penn Study Abroad is Penn Credit and Penn Financial Aid. because the university really has these incredible resources to help all students think about studying abroad, and not be limited by the costs and also the credit. And, will it transfer? Will it apply to my program? And so as you sit and plan with your advisor and think about the possibilities while you're here for 8 semesters, or in Uri's case, 10 with his master's program, you have options to do many, many things. There's a fascinating question, I think, to get really to the heart and soul too of your experiences is, can you tell us one of the memories of the University of Pennsylvania that you'll never forget, something that you really cherish? And why don't we start with you, Uri, and we'll go around.
A memory that I will never forget at Penn. The first time it snowed when I was a freshman. It sounds like kind of naive, but like I had never lived in a place that snows. And it was just incredible, like waking up one day and everything's white, kind of like, I don't know, Christmas. So yeah, like Christmas in the movies, which was amazing.
I remember very well my NSO week in my sophomore year. So I had just been my freshman year, had the best year of my life without a doubt, met so many like special people, had so many amazing experiences, and then left for summer. And I literally every day I was waiting to come back to Penn. And then I remember that when I came back that first week, seeing everyone again and like so excited to like continue this 3-year journey. So yeah, that's definitely an experience I'll never forget.
And before Guy answers, just NSO is New Student Orientation, and each of you will come for a whole week before classes start, your freshman year, or if you're a new transfer student, and get to know campus, meet with your advisor, get acclimated to Philadelphia. So it is an amazing week of fun, but also very purposeful too. Guy?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. NSO is so much fun. But one of my favorite memories of Penn is actually a little bit more recent, and it was actually my heyday. For those who don't know what heyday is, essentially heyday. So one of the things that I love most about Penn is that Penn, for all those who don't know, is a very old university, and some of the very like traditions that started way back still hold for our Penn experience nowadays. And one of them is heyday, which is a moment when the entire junior class comes together. We wear hats and we hold canes and we walk down Locust Walk together as a class. And then President A.B. Gutman comes out of College Hall and declares us seniors officially in the light of the university. And we actually, like my class, so mine and Sebastian's class had our heyday very recently, now in October, right before fall break. And it was so beautiful of it for me, and a memory that I'm going to cherish forever is that our Penn class is pretty big. It's like, Jody, correct me if I'm wrong, we're like 2,000, 3,000 people. And the only times that we come together are 3 times in our Penn experience. So for convocation when we get here, for heyday, and then for graduation. And because Penn is just this like melting pot of people doing so many things at the same time in different places, whenever you see your entire class come together, it's really special. So seeing people that I hadn't seen since when I lived in the quad as a freshman, walking down Locust with me, wearing the same t-shirt, the hat and the cane, was very emotional. Brought me to tears, actually. It was a very beautiful day on campus as well. And just made me cherish that I really feel like part of something bigger than myself by being part of my class year here at Penn.
Any other responses to that memory that you'll never forget? Sebastian, Tati, Maho?
I can
For
say
me, oh, go ahead, Tati.
Sorry, Maho, if you want to go ahead. Okay, so in Penn, there's this tradition where there's like a button, like a compass in Locust Walk, and if you're a freshman, you shouldn't stand on it, because if you cross the compass, then you'll fail your first midterm. And a lot of people do not believe this tradition. I was one of those. And I'm telling you right now, the tradition is true. Do not step on the compass if you're a freshman before your first midterm. So in my freshman year, I stepped on the compass and I was taking a really hard class, which I shouldn't have been taking as a freshman. I was the only freshman there. And that was my first midterm ever coming out from high school after summer. Like, I was just having a very tough time. So I take my midterm, didn't go great. You guys can imagine what happened later. but like I was super upset. I had just gotten to campus, like I was like questioning everything. And as soon as I leave like the Wharton building, I see that like all my friends, which I had just known for like a month, like I had never met them before, had just known them for a month, were standing outside like waiting for me. Like they were my support system since the beginning. And that just really showed me like no matter how I did in classes, no matter what was going on, my mood or anything, I would always have like a great group of friends that would support me like no matter what. And those are still my best friends to this day, the people who I met like in the beginning and were with me like since my first hardships, my first failed midterm ever. So yeah, that's a great memory that I will like hold forever.
So my memory is like much simpler, I guess. That's really cute that they are. I feel like I feel that feeling of first midterm is not nice. So for me, it will be probably like, it's kind of more a general thing. I just really like fall at Penn. And I feel like that first fall I had, I was like seeing in Mexico, it's just summer all year long, right? So like seeing like the trees kind of like, as Jody background shows, was really nice. And it was just, I don't know, it kind of like felt like, oh, I'm in college, and like an American college. Like this is the American college experience. It's just really nice. I feel like that's like my favorite time to be at Penn. And like it's before the cold, so that's something I really value as a memory here at Penn.
Sebastian, Luke, anything that you wanted to offer? A memory or something that you'll hold dear to?
Yes, as I mentioned, I think my most special memory was that when I was coming back from NSO. Yeah, I'd say another very special memory was, again, it's similar, but this year after all COVID, I was pretty upset to lose like a big part of my in-campus Penn experience. However, this semester, seeing Locust Walk completely full again, for those of you that haven't been there, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing Locust Walk in a sunny summer day filled with people. And being able to see that after 2 years was absolutely amazing. Yeah, very lucky and happy that for my senior year, I'm able to have a regular semester.
Thank you so much for that, all of you, for offering. And Luke, I wanted to give you a chance, or if you wanted to address something else before we have about 5 minutes left. Did you want to chime in, Luke?
Yeah, sure. I'll just say really quickly, my first show on campus, my first dance show ever. It was really amazing. Just having a friends in the audience, having the alumni there. I did not realize, how loving and supportive the alumni could have been. They were giving us tips before and after the show, and then they were our loudest supporters during the show. So that entire experience was just amazing, I have to say.
That's so wonderful. It's great to hear. There are a couple questions about cultural groups, Latinx, Caribbean, Mex at Penn, Brazilians at Penn. We have these incredible cultural centers, MACU, we have La Casa Latina, we have Perry World House, which is broadly international. I mean, there are so many great hubs. Would any of you comment on, you've spoken actually quite eloquently about the community that you found that is cultural related, but also the broader community. But could you expand on any of that, particularly with the culture groups?
Yeah, I can jump in here really quickly. Since I'm from the Caribbean, there is a Caribbean association here, CASA, Caribbean American Student Association. There are a lot of Jamaicans on campus. There aren't many of the other Caribbean islands on campus, especially like me, who were born and raised in those islands. But it's a nice community. We primarily focus on like social gatherings. So we would organize parties and whatnot. I actually want to DJ for them soon. But what I would say you'd realize very quickly maybe it's just a Caribbean thing, but don't expect all of your best friends to be from within your community. Penn is so diverse and everyone is just so accepting here. Like my roommates are the furthest thing from Caribbean, but we get on so well, and I would consider them some of my best friends on campus. So yes, you're going to find a community here, and yes, you may choose to be a large part of your Caribbean community, but just expect to have a very diverse group of friends.
Yeah, I think I'll jump in and make a comment on that as well about like diversity in cultural groups and friends. When I got to Penn, I kind of had an idea, a preconception that if I joined a cultural group, that was like my cultural group and I had to stick to that and be the center of my cultural experience on campus. And that's very much not the case. Like we all have like multi-identities and things that make us unique that are different. So as I said, Warren Latino was probably the core extracurricular experience that made my Penn experience so amazing. Nonetheless, I'm still in the Penn Brazil Club and I'm in the board of that, just as I'm in the board of Warren Latino, and I can connect with all that. I'm also Jewish Latino, so I'm involved with the Jewish community on campus, and that's an identity that I cherish very much as well. So I'd say like dive head on and don't let it limit you in any way, that you can do anything you want. Just embrace the world when you get here.
Sebastian, I know you have an incredible roommate from Africa that you adore. And so I'm going to put you on the spot just because I think that how your roommate and your friends have shaped you is pretty amazing.
Yes, so yeah, I'm very happy to talk about this, especially because I think that this is one of the most special parts for me about Penn. I grew up in Colombia, I graduated in Colombia. Many of my friends went to different universities, and many of them, as Guy thought that was happening to him, he would arrive to a university and stick with that same cultural group and identity. I see many of my friends just sticking around with their Latin American community, which is amazing. However, here at Penn, I see I have a different world. While I still have my Latino identity, my Latino friends, my Latino groups, I am exposed to amazing diversity of people. As you said, I'm from Colombia, my roommate is from Nigeria. I never in my wildest dreams, I thought that would happen. Yeah, there's different types of groups where you can identify in different areas. I am part of a fraternity that has also opened me the doors to meet people from everywhere. My fraternity brothers are from England, from Australia, from South Africa, from Spain, from Chile, everywhere. So yeah, every day I meet someone new, I learn about a new culture, a new country, and it's just made my whole experience so enriching. And it's by far my favorite part of Penn.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. Thank you for letting me put you on the spot. I really want to thank Uri too for his incredible diplomacy and organization in preparing the panelists so that you could offer so much amazing information, and for sharing of yourselves. And to you, to the students, to you, our panelists, as you continue with your work, thank you for giving up such precious time to share a little bit about your experience and guide prospective students on the way. We really wish you all the best as you continue on your semester and then you approach the end of the semester and exams. And for prospective students, you know, we don't expect you to have it all figured out. We really hope that you come to this process open-minded and you put your best foot forward. You know, there's a question about the application, you know, how did the student stand out? And it's really important to be your best self on the application so we can learn about you, you uniquely. These students all wrote essays to them, and that's what we want to hear from you. The website, the admissions website, is incredibly broad and helpful. There are workshops available that we want you to plug into, take advantage of. Maho mentioned Cognoscente, which is the College of Arts and Sciences information session. There's a Wharton information session, nursing and engineering, and coordinated dual degrees. So much information ahead. Because the students are, again, deeply into the academic semester, if you have further questions or follow-up, we encourage you to reach out to the admissions office, and we'll make sure that we make some connections for you and answer any questions. Any parting words, my dear panelists, before we wrap up? Such a joy to see all of you. Rudy?
Oh, sorry. I just want to say that Penn has been such an incredible experience. Please do your best in your applications. Go all in. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the admissions officers and by extension to us. And yeah, it's a pleasure to speak highly about Penn and be here with you guys.
Great. All right, so we will wrap up our seminar. We thank you all for your attention, and we wish you all the best. Thank you, panelists. Good night, everyone.